All right, in this segment, we're talking about finesse wedges. So let's really understand how we're going to use the handle to control the head and what we need to look for and kind of the process to calibrate our feel for finesse wedges. So I have a setup station set up. Again, have one shaft going towards the target, one coming off at 90 degrees for ball position. This really helps me set up and kind of visualize the way I want to launch the golf ball. And then from there, again, I'm trying to neutralize the club to start with. I'm trying to get set up here, square everything off, figure out where this can be in my body position to eye line, ball position where I can see down my line, square the club. And then from there, I'm going to work trail hand only and really just start to get some spatial awareness of how I'd want to move this handle to square the club up and comfortably hit the shot. We're looking about 20 yards here to that cone, so it's a pretty small shot, so I don't need a lot of handle travel. And this is where I see players start to struggle with this, is the handle starts to travel too far, and then now they've got to kind of manage almost too much momentum to hit this shot. So I actually take speed off and still control orientation. I would equate that like I'm on the free throw line, I'm ready to shoot a free throw, and I go like this. Yeah, you can do it, but you're making your life a lot harder. Let's match up how much momentum I need, and we're gonna do that visually by really just kind of sitting here, imagining the shot I wanna hit, the trajectory I want it to go, where I want it to land, and then I wanna feel what's the comfortable handle travel to create that result. And once I have a feeling for that, now I'm gonna bring the golf ball in, take some practice swings again, and again, I'm gonna start trail arm only, because starting trail arm only allows me really just to feel the weight of the club a lot more effectively. When we put two hands on it, club only weighs a pound. We don't necessarily need two hands for a lot of these low speed shots. And I think it's actually easier if you're working on the motor pattern and redeveloping it to take the lead hand off first, allow yourself to build the structure with the trail hand, really let the trail hand do most of the work, really understand the path, the length, really kind of blend in the coordination is what we've been doing our whole life, kind of soft tossing something with the trail hand, and then start to bleed and blend the left hand back on, the lead hand back on. So we're always gonna start with those trail hand work, really get a feeling for that. Again, I'm kind of matching up the handle path, trying to make it a comfortable length to hit these shots, and then I'm gonna start to hit and execute some of these little ones in the morning, and just hit some of this standard medium trajectory. I'm not really trying to change the face angle too much, and I'm trying to hit this high. This is basically just kind of squaring everything off, neutralizing everything in the morning, get a feeling for that path, and then from there we can start to move to different shots. But that's always a good starting point, this little neutral shot. Make it really simplistic, dial that in first, and then now from there, let's hit it a little bit lower and a little bit higher. All right, now let's start to vary trajectory by adding shaft lean or taking shaft lean out so we can add or subtract loft. Now, another thing that's important when you practice with finesse wedges, have a towel handy. The face is always gonna get wet, get moisture on it, get grass. You always wanna clean it between shots so you can actually see more or less what the spin should have been. I think using a quality golf ball is always good too. I don't like my players pitching around the greens or putting with a range ball. Actually take a normal golf ball so you actually feel how it reacts, and it gets you to kind of gauge and get that distance control, and that feel that's related with that is a lot more effective to transfer the golf course as you're playing with the same ball and practicing with the same ball. So now we're gonna try to hit this first shot a little bit lower. So now I wanna add shaft lean, de-loft the club. I'll go back to my practice setup station, and now as I set up, again, I'm gonna start to probably shift the ball back in my stance a little bit. You can see that shaft get closer to my trail foot, my right foot. Again, the face is squared off looking down that line, but now the shaft is leaning a little bit forward. I might even get the handle a little bit higher for this shot, which helps me kind of de-loft that. Again, now I'm gonna feel the path that I think I would need based on the trajectory I'm looking for to hit this shot. Once I kind of have a feeling for that and a kind of awareness of what I'm changing with the handle, my setup position, and the length, again, start with a trail hand only. Now I'm hitting a little bit lower shot that's gonna run out more. Same idea, set it back up, dial everything in, hit that little low one. Now I'm gonna switch it up, and now we're gonna go to higher trajectory. All right, now for the higher trajectory one, now we're looking for the opposite effect. Instead of having shaft lean, I'm looking to get rid of shaft lean, and at the same time, maintain the orientation of the face looking more upward. So it's almost like this underhand soft tossing motion. So again, I'll set up my setup station. Ball goes a little more forward in my stance, and really I put it forward because I need more time and space to get rid of that shaft lean. I put the ball back because I would need less time and space. I actually want to restrict how much I can rotate the club when the ball's back, so that's why I put it back, put it forward for the opposite reason. Now I have more time to rotate the club, get rid of that shaft lean. You can see the grip kind of catch back up with my trail forearm, and that's going to allow me to hit these higher, softer shots, use more of the sole of the club, maintain that loft as it goes through. Good thing to do before you hit this shot is hit the grass a couple times and get a feeling that if you're using the bounce and the sole correctly, you should be able to kind of slap the grass and not have the club dig. So I think that's a really good reference point in this shot, that you're not de-lofting it, you don't have too much shaft lean, that the club itself, it's almost like you're slapping it with the backside of the club is what's going to be actually slapping the grass. And again, that allows you to maintain that loft. My stance might get a little bit wider, my handle might get a little bit lower, and again, I'm not going to have as much lean to start with. I'm actually going to have the shaft more vertical. Same idea though. Once I have a feeling for the handle path, I'm going to pick it up, drop it on the head, and maintain that loft. And what's interesting about this shot, especially with trail arm, is this is probably the hardest way to hit this. Actually, having the lead arm attached for this shot makes it easier. Whereas I think a lot of times for the shorter shots, the bump and runs, putting, shots where we don't want the orientation of the club to really change much, I think only having one arm attached makes those a lot easier to be consistent with. But when I have a shot that I actually need the club to change orientation at the bottom, again, I want to get rid of that shaft lean, having that lead hand attached really allows me to scissor the club a lot faster, and those shots are a lot more effective with two hands on it. Again, we're still kind of working the base of the structure of how we want the handle path to move, and that's really going to help our body understand what we're trying to do to hit this shot. But if I'm actually trying to execute this shot the most consistent way, that's where, especially on these higher lofted shots, bunker shots, flop shots, higher lofted pitches, having that lead hand back attached, again, I'm still feeling like my trail arm is dominating kind of the motion and the structure and how the structure is created, but now having that lead arm attached allows me to kind of scissor the top of the grip at the bottom, really get the club head to pass the hands faster, and now it's much easier on these little shots to execute these higher lofted shots when I have that lead hand attached. So again, we're still going to build the structure with the trail arm to feel how the handle should move, how our body should react to that handle movement. We're still going to dial it in, but when you actually start hitting these shots, you're going to see it very quickly that actually getting this club to scissor at the bottom with just your trail arm is really difficult. That lead arm helping it scissor is going to help you get those contacts where you can get the shaft lean out, maintain the loft. Much easier to get that club to scissor at the bottom with two hands. But it's always kind of build that structure first, and then from there, we add the speed.